Hello, investors. It's Don Vandenbord, Senior Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Wednesday, February 14th, Valentine's Day, and certainly no St. Valentine's Day massacre today. Let's call it the St. Valentine's Day recovery. It's 5:05 p.m. Eastern Time, and I'm coming to you from St. Augustine Beach, Florida, with tonight's Revere Market Insight video. So we're state of the market is in an uptrend since the beginning of November. You can see we still got the coveted 4 green arrows over here, and we improved things slightly, taking away the yellow sub arrow from leaders as leaders responded enthusiastically today to yesterday's sell-off, many of them making new highs versus Tuesday's levels, even Monday's levels. And back above the 21-day moving average, we're going to wait to take the small cap yellow arrow indicator off to make sure we get a second close above the 21 for small caps. But all the rest of the major indexes are trending above their short-term 21-day, medium-term 50-day, and long-term 200-day moving averages. So what happened today? Market had a chance overnight to digest the inflation numbers, had a somewhat strong gap up in the morning, didn't give up the gains, and rallied into the close, closing near highs of the day, recouping some, not some, in some cases most, not necessarily all, but unless you're in the big seven or in the GROTECTION portfolio, recouping the losses from Tuesday. So I have Tuesday's negative numbers on here and Wednesday's recovery numbers on here, so you can compare the strength of the various indexes here. Big Seven rebounding nicely, up 1.8%. Reminder: our Big Seven has Netflix in it, not Tesla. Netflix was up 4.5% today. RG8 up 2.5, almost getting back most of the 2.89 that it gave up yesterday, and that's a good sign. Inflation impacts the indices and the types of stocks within the RG8 more than any of these other indexes, so good to see a nice rebound there. S&P 500 up nearly 1%, NASDAQ 100 up 1.1, Dow, the weakest reclaimer, up 0.40, mid caps up 1.4, Russell 2000 up 2.4, Global 60/40 up 0.88. In-house GROTECTION, despite having beta below 1 coming into today, we really had some nice work by the leaders that we continued to hold overnight, and a big move by Uber, who had a massive stock buyback, and that carried the portfolio to a 1.69% approximate gain on the day. Let's get into some charts in the tail of the tape. We'll start off with the S&P 500. You can see we're not back to the levels where we closed on Monday, but held the 21-day moving average, recouped the 8-day moving average, and closed back above 5,000. Good sign there. Good recovery. Volume about 10% lighter on the NYSE, so that, depending on how you feel about volume, but price is what pays you. So we'll just do what we continue to do and monitor the lows of Tuesday need to stick. That would make the rally, bring it into question if we started to break back below the lows of Tuesday. That goes for not only stocks, but also for indexes and sector ETFs. You can see the recovery of the NASDAQ 100 here, back above the 8-day moving average. The Dow, holding the 21, closing above the 21 after undercutting and reclaiming it yesterday. But the key level here, that 38,000 level, which was tested yesterday, back to about above 38.4 today. Now, yesterday's problem, mid caps, recovered nicely, not all of it, but comfortably again above the 21-day moving average and the 50-day moving average, with a 1.4% recovery. And small caps, again, not recovering all of it, but back above the 21 after a close below the 21 on the 50 on Tuesday, up 2.3% on the day. The VIX had an ugly day yesterday if you're a bull, back below 15 and back below the 200-day moving average today, down 9.3%. Dollar was broke out yesterday, still above that breakout level, giving back some of it, but not a lot of it, down 0.23%. Gold basically flat. Bitcoin higher high overnight, gap up, held the gap up 4.8%. We own IBIT, which is one of those spot ETFs, the most liquid one. And you can see that it's tracking BITO very closely. I just put BITO on there for so you can get a reference of where what Bitcoin's been doing. So IBIT. On to bonds now. BND, broad bonds. Bonds yields fell today. Prices up, not nowhere near as much as what it gave up yesterday, but um, we don't get paid on bonds really. We get paid on stocks. We're a growth stock investment firm here at Revere, so we certainly want to know what bonds are doing. We rarely get heavily invested in them, but up 0.38%, and the long bond TLT up 0.51%, which means the yield came off a bit on the long bond, as you can see, down 0.40, also on the 10-year, the TNX, but those breakouts are still intact. I'm going to show the 5-year as well. You can see the breakout still intact there as well. So that's our inter-asset correlation. Let's get to the tail of the tape and then to some charts of individual names. We'll update the stochastics tomorrow. In a lot of cases, we hooked down yesterday, and in some of them hooked back up yesterday. We'll also get an update on sentiment numbers tomorrow, so tune in tomorrow. Before the open, December PPI was revised lower by a bit, didn't really impact the numbers much. As far as sectors go, tech led the rebound today, semiconductor, software, but also some interest rate sensitive ITB, that's builders, home builders, KRE, regional banks, transports, and biotech. To the downside, some defensives were the only only red sectors among my quote screen. XLE, Energy, XLP, staples. As far as the portfolio goes, we added back about half the risk that we took off yesterday, adding more to Datadog, which we bought at the open yesterday, and also buying back some SSO. Our recent trims of SSO were on average around 49.77 on the S&P, so we'll be looking to add some of those back. Trading against the 21-day moving average in this case, as long as we hold there. Any pullbacks are buyable as long as we hold the 21 and the lows of Tuesday. So the bottom line on the day, strong rebound from Tuesday losses, leaders acting great. Let's take a look at the charts of some of those leaders, and we'll start off with, if I can get this out of the way, there we go. We'll start off with our portfolio leader, and because of appreciation, now the largest holding in the portfolio, and that's Uber. Big stock buyback. That and Lyft having a great earnings report propelled this to a 14.7% gain. Very clear, high volume breakaway gap. Certainly better than the reaction in the days following earnings. While the markets were tickling higher, this pulled back, yes, on lighter volume, but higher volume today than on their earnings report. So definitely a good reaction there from Uber. Next biggest holding, NVIDIA continues to just be an absolute champ, riding the 8-day exponential moving average higher, up 2.5% on the day. Our third biggest holding, CrowdStrike, new high close, up 3.8% on the day. AMD acting well. Near the top of this 180-ish, which has been a resistance level, but a nice undercut and recovery of the 21-day yesterday, getting back toward that 180 level, up 4% on the day. And then our two smallest holdings, Datadog, kind of looks like versus the 140 level the way AMD does against the 180 level, with a big shakeout on its earnings and shakeout with the gap down on the way the market was acting on Tuesday, but certainly a nice recovery there. And finally, Lilly, our sixth position, new highs breaking above this resistance level around 740, up 2% on the day. We also still own a small bit of uranium, which were 50-day moving average is our stop on this. We added the SSO back. We have IBIT. And then the sector ETFs, SPXL and SSO. Let's take a look at some other names and how they acted on the day. Let's look at some things that just made a fool out of us by trimming into the weakness. Palantir. Yeah, it's volatile. It was volatile. It was volatile, and it was up 4.91% today, so back above that 25 level. We also trimmed Art K, and it had a great bounce back day, back above the 50-day moving average, up 5.5%. And then we also trimmed NXT. The solar sector had a nice bounce back today, this above the 60 level. So we'll look to re-enter some of these things that we trimmed at more attractive entry points. Some other big standouts, SMCI continues to be, like I said, the stuff that dreams are made of. Just every big rally has a big stock leading it. I remember Tesla was the big winner back in 2020 after COVID. SMCI carrying the water for this rally. ARM had a nice bounce back today. Putting in a little consolidation here might give a low risk entry as the 8-day exponential moving average catches up to price. Some other things that stood out today: Nutanix, which had been lagging for a few days, bouncing back above the 21-day moving average. Netflix, very nice move, reclaiming the 8-day exponential moving average and up near highs from a couple days after its earnings report. ON, another consumer brand, making a comeback with volume, clearing that 30 level and the moving averages. That's going to wrap it. As always, like to hear from you. The email is don@revereasset.com. The phone's 855-REAL-WEALTH. That's 855-732-5932. If you'd like to become a client, my partner Dan Stewart can be reached at dan@revereasset.com. Our flagship portfolio is named GROTECTION because we grow assets. During uptrends, protect them during downtrends. Always investing according to inflection points, very important. And Tuesday was an inflection point with a gap down on bad inflation data, but a nice recovery today. That makes Tuesday's lows very important, as well as the 21-day moving average, our short-term moving average, catching up to the bottom of that day too, should provide an additional level of support on any pullback toward that area. And with that, I'll wrap it for Valentine's Day, Wednesday, February 14th. This is Don Vandenbord with Revere Asset, telling it like it is. Thanks for listening and have a great day.